Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Sean Wheelock, I'm going to pitch an idea to you right now. Imagine we had Dan Severn and Tank Abbott fight, or we had Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Michael Bisping, Chael Sonnen, and Roy Jones Jr. And he fights a fan who wins the competition, and you and Jim Ross commentate. Imagine that happened. Imagine how cool that would be.
Yeah, you know, and I'm actually going to get paid for this. Now, please don't tell my agent, but I would have done this show for free. You had me at Roy Jones Jr., my favorite boxer of the 90s. Mike Tyson was my favorite boxer of the 80s. Roy Jones Jr., my favorite boxer of the 90s. Jim Ross, you guys know I'm a huge pro wrestling fan.
Yeah.
My three all-time favorite pro wrestling play-by-play commentators, Gordon Soley, Gorilla Monsoon, and Jim Ross. So, what a dream gig. These are the type of gigs where you get offered them, and you immediately say yes. And then you think, wow, this is a pretty charmed life I'm living. When I get these opportunities, I could not be more excited for this show. You know, I've been very, very fortunate in my career. I've done a lot of big events. I've done a lot of big shows, and I'm like a little kid going into this show. I'm almost giddy going in fact. It's going to be so much fun.
I was shocked. When I first saw it, I couldn't believe it. But then now when I look at it, I'm just thinking, it's just something fun, is what it is.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's almost impossible to think that it's never happened before.
Yeah.
Not on that level.
Yeah.
We've had like two disciplines,
but now
we've never had like
just weird medley
that
of
much of a mix-up. You know.
I think it's great fun.
Yeah. I do too, and I mean this in the best possible way, because I love the country of Japan and I love Japanese MMA. This feels like a show that they would do in Japan. Like, this feels like something you would do on December 31st at Saitama Super Arena. You know, and they love doing hybrid shows where they'll have grappling and pro wrestling, and they've had K1 rules fights in MMA. But it's never been done to this level. Scott Coker, obviously, with the Bellator 3 months after I left, September of last year, when he combined the Bellator and the Glory show, and that just didn't go off too well. It seemed like the audiences just one didn't really get each other, but there's such a nice crossover appeal with all grappling fans love MMA. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
And all MMA fans love grappling, or certainly want to love grappling. And it's a great opportunity when you see Chael Sonnen versus Michael Bisping. Are you kidding me? How cool is that?
Yeah.
And Roy Jones Jr., like I mentioned, Mike Tyson, he's just one of those larger-than-life fighters that even if you don't follow boxing, you know who Roy Jones Jr. is, and you still want to see Roy Jones Jr. fight. There's still something exciting about him. And I don't care what any MMA fans, at one time in their life, they were a huge mark. They love pro wrestling. There's a chance they still are a mark and do love pro wrestling. And then when you mix in the MMA to it, I think it's great. And I'll tell you, the difference between this and Bellator is, and I know this, I mean, my second to last Bellator, I was there for your listeners who don't know, for 5.5 years, 127 straight shows. My second to last Bellator was the one that had Kimbo Slice versus Ken Shamrock, which, by the way, was not a work, as you guys know. It was definitely a shoot. But so much of the heat going to Bellator and all the negativity on that show, and then the Bellator event they did in February in Houston with Kimbo Slice versus Out of 5,000 and Ken Shamrock versus Royce Gracie, is that Spike TV, who's the 97% owner of Bellator, wants it sold like it's the World Cup final, like it's the biggest thing in the world. And my feeling is have fun. You know, when I was in Pride, we had Zulazinho versus Butterbean Ash. So about 780 pounds of fighter between those two. And it was a ridiculous match, and it was fun, and we called it that way. And when you have events like this, they're fun. I'm never going to disrespect anybody. My mom would get mad at me if I did it. So I'm not going to disrespect anybody, and I'm not going to make fun of anybody. That's not what I'm about. But if something is fun, it's fun. Roy Jones Jr. is one of the 10 greatest boxers ever. Is he top 10 in the world now? Absolutely not. So we can have fun with this. I'm still respectful, but you don't have to sell it like, all right, Roy Jones Jr., the greatest fighter in the world, which is kind of how Spike would want you to sell these fights. So this company who's putting it on, it's the letters U and the letter R show.tv, so they pronounce it Your Show TV. They want us to have fun with it. Be respectful, Jones Jr. versus Byron Phillips, who's a pro MMA fighter. He's fought in Japan, he's fought in Canada, fought in the United States. This is his pro boxing debut. So we're not trying to oversell this like, oh, Phillips wins and he's in line for a world title shot. Just have fun. It's intriguing. These are fights that if I weren't commentating, I would be paying my $11.99 US and watching them on pay-per-view because I'm genuinely interested. And I think fight fans are genuinely interested in this card. I just appreciate the way that they're being packaged, and Jim Ross and I are going to be able to call them straight. We don't have to put on that bell.
Yeah, Jim Ross, like you said, he said his name. For me as well, he's one of the great guys from pro wrestling. You know, I grew up listening to him, and he just has a great way with the words. He gets the excitement when people will listen to him. He is, he's great on the ears. He's fantastic at what he does, and I think the two of you will work together because you both bring skills from both sides. The pair of you, so you'll work. I think it'll work really well together having the pair of you there.
I really appreciate you saying that, and Jim and I spoke last week, first conversation I'd ever had with him. I don't know a ton of people in kayfabe in the pro wrestling world, so I've just never had a chance to meet him. I've actually been to shows where he's commentated, but I've been there as a fan. So it was just a thrill for me just to talk to him. Everybody told me, we do have a few mutual acquaintances and people we've worked together with on various shows, like audio guys and camera people and researchers, who said, man, he's just first class. You're going to get along great with him. We've had an amazing phone conversation. He said, how should we split these fights up? Who do you want to do? Well, what should you do what? I said, Jim, there is no chance that I'm not going to take a backseat to you on the pro wrestling. I said, you are the absolute man and the legend. You're going to call play-by-play on pro wrestling. You just tell me what you want me to say. Obviously, we get into the submission grappling and MMA. That's my area. Jim's now doing a boxing series in the United States, and I think that's the equitable split. But I'm looking forward to that. If we can replicate just our one phone conversation, I think we'll get chemistry. And I'm certainly a fan of his. I don't want to come across like deferential and a fanboy, but I genuinely think that he is a great commentator. Jim Ross knows how to really create a narrative, and as a commentator, you want to create that narrative, and he does that beautifully. So that alone right there, just if they would have said, you're going to get to work with Jim Ross, I would have been like, okay, tell me what the event is later and the fights are later. That's such a very, very cool thing for me.
Yeah, when John actually told me that you had, well, the lineup that you've got, and you've already mentioned Roy Jones. Now, with Roy Jones, you have got a living legend of the boxing world. I mean, Roy Jones was pound for pound mentioned best boxer in the world around the same time that Pernell Whitaker, Chavez, even Oscar De La Hoya, and
absolutely,
and he was a life champion when you had the likes of Ben Eubank, Iran Barkley, James Toney, when James Toney was at the right weight. It was, he was formidable. I mean, I grew up around him, and the guy was like floating on clouds, like
special man. Yeah.
He could move around a ring and crack people. I mean, you've always had good movers and you've had good strikers, but he had the whole package. And
well, two things, and I so agree with you. When I said at the beginning of our conversation that he's my favorite boxer in the 90s, I don't say that lightly. So, two things that people who aren't that familiar with Roy Jones Jr. are, or maybe they need to be familiar with this, or they do their Wikipedia and Google research on him and look at some fights on YouTube. So, pull the Vinny Pazienza fight. That's the first time in the history of CompuBox where a fighter did not land a single punch in a round. Vinny Pazienza in that fight, who is legitimately one of the top 20 pound-for-pound guys on the planet, was a phenomenal fighter, Vinny Paz. And Vinny Pazienza goes an entire round where he does not hit Roy Jones Jr. once in 3 minutes. I mean, that's insane. I mean, that's absolutely insane. I mean, guys, I'm a huge football, a huge soccer fan. I mean, that would be like having like 95% of the possession in a Premier League match. I mean, it's just unthinkable. And to go an entire round. And then Roy Jones Jr., who, forgive me, I'm an American, so I don't know the metric system. I need to sat down to my English wife to get centimeters. But in height, Roy Jones Jr., and I have met him previously, I've never worked his fight, but I think he's legitimately about 5'8". And did he beat John Ruiz for a world heavyweight title is insane. I mean, Roy Jones Jr. is not a big fighter at 168 pounds. And then he actually won a heavyweight belt against John Ruiz, who probably outweighed him by about 45 pounds in that fight, is crazy. Roy Jones Jr., just the amazing skill set, so elusive, so powerful. Dropped Virgil Hill with a knockout shot to the body. He really is such a great fighter. It really is truly an honor.
Well, we can even go further back than that. Roy, I mean, I used to be a crazy boxing fan when boxing was electric. And Roy Jones fought in the Seoul Olympics, and this was the only year that they Korea, isn't it? Had how many boxing champions? They had so many gold medals. But I do believe that the champion of that year, and this Roy Jones, I believe, was middleweight, and he was actually pulled onto the top step by the gold medalist, and it was like one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in Olympic boxing. But this guy just...
I actually remember as a kid at home in Kansas City, in Shawnee, Kansas, watching that bout. I mean, I was a huge boxing fan since probably the age of 6 or 7. And I remember watching the '88 Olympics, and I knew who Roy Jones Jr. was. I only followed the pros as a kid. I didn't follow the Amis. And I just remember thinking, this is wrong. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Olympic boxing and amateur boxing really changed their scoring system between the '88 Seoul Olympics and the '92 Barcelona Olympics, largely based on Roy Jones Jr. Just being destroyed by the judges and not rightfully winning the gold medal.
Well, it was a game changer. But I mean, Roy's one of those guys. I can remember his whole career. I can remember his first loss, Montel Griffin, which was
right.
A dodgy loss. I believe he was hit while he was down or something, or he got a low blow. It was something dodgy.
I believe it was a disqualification loss.
It was.
He avenged it with a first-round knockout.
Yeah, and then they had a rematch, and Roy Jones beats Montel Griffin in the first round in a rematch.
Right.
You know, it was like, I'm not going to mess around with that again. Like, let's get... And Montel Griffin was a guy, I think he was unbeaten at the time. You know, so he was, you know, Roy Jones was like, and I mean, so it was one of those, it was like a John Jones loss.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Matt Hamill, yeah.
It's one that we can ignore, you know, and...
Oh, absolutely. And the first James Toney fight, and it goes the distance, but, well, I mean, he makes James Toney look average. He just made everybody who was great look average or below average. It's crazy how good Roy Jones Jr. was, and, you know, even as he's closing in on 50 years old, I mean, he's still a really special fighter. It's like, you know, we're going some older school boxing history, but like Archie Moore, who, you know, maybe Archie Moore wasn't as great at 48 as he was at 38 or 28, but he was still really, really good and really tough to hit.
Yeah, he's the sort of guy you still wouldn't want to have an argument with. Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't want to hold mitts for him, put it that way.
But that's the... And you get to watch Jones again, and that's awesome what Jones Jr. You got to watch him box and commentate on it, and it's great because he's going to probably have a lot of fun with this, because it's not a serious boxing match. It is a bit of fun. He'll take it a bit serious, but at the same time, he'll probably just see a bit. You'll probably see Jones Jr. in a way that you've not seen him before.
It sounds like a fun event. So it's a fun event where you can have fun within the event, whether you're
participating or not.
Whether
really,
you're commentating on it, whether you're attending it, whether you're competing on it. Well, it sounds like it's fun for everyone.
Well, look, Chael Sonnen and Michael Bisping, that's enough. So I think they're going to probably talk more in the grappling than they are probably going to grapple.
You can imagine the shit talking in that.
They're just going to have fun. Like, the two of them have got, you know, they get on, but the thing is, their smack talk is fantastic.
And there's still a bit of a score to settle there, I think.
Yeah, there is.
For sure. I mean, I'm somebody, I go to a very good MMA gym in Kansas City and just get pounded mercilessly in grappling. I don't like to spar with the professional fighters, but I'm happy to take my beatings on the mat and grapple. So, I mean, I'm a grappling nerd. I love as you get older to figure out that what they call a hammerlock is really basically a kimura. And what they call a figure four leg lock is really kind of a knee bar. And super cold as a mata leon, it's a rear naked choke. So I'm such a grappling nerd. I'm going to have fun with that. I've commentated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before. I've never commentated submission grappling, but I've watched all the Metamoris events. I love watching high-level grappling. And when you can't change it completely, as you guys know, it completely changes how you posture, how you move, how you shrimp on the mat. It really changes all of the lines and all of the angles. And I agree, they're going to be talking, they're going to be playing to the crowd, they're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, you've got a Chandler wrestler, and Michael Bisping is actually a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, which not everyone will know, so that's a good thing to think about. You know, Bisping doesn't really get to show his Jiu-Jitsu in fights in MMA because he likes to stand and bang, so... And he's coming off that momentum from the silver win as well. So
still got to be riding that wave.
So that'll be riding that, and that'll help him out. You've got Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio, for people who don't know, in the pro wrestling, Rey Mysterio's, he's short. Well, I think he's short, but to be fair, he's like a spring. He just does acrobatic moves that you can't quite get your head around. Kurt Angle, he's an actual legitimate gold medalist in the Olympics. I think he was the first American to win Greco-Roman wrestling.
Even I knew of Kurt Angle, didn't I?
Yeah, Kurt Angle. Yeah, he was from a movie, but he's he's a wrestler from he's been wrestling for years. He has, and he's a good name, and he's a legit athlete. He was actually trying to compete in the the Rio Games for the wrestling team. I think he tried to go for tryouts, but I think he got an injury or something and couldn't carry on.
It's such a cool card, and because I'm somebody who loved kayfabe and still does pro wrestling, to be able to be involved in that match, as I say, on the pro wrestling, I'm definitely going to take a secondary role to the great Jim Ross. But I'm still going to jump on. The only time I've ever commentated pro wrestling, I made a guest appearance when I was with Bellator, when Spike TV in the U.S. Still had TNA.
Oh, TNA.
And they had Impact Wrestling. And I went and I sat in on one bout. And I was very much the guest, and I wanted to be respectful. But this now, because I'm actually there as a commentator, I can open up a little bit more. And Jim Ross did say to me, this is going to be old-time wrestling commentary. We're going to call this straight. And I said, I am so happy to hear you say that because I love how they did that. And I referenced my English wife a moment ago saying I need to find out about centimeters. But in England, you guys do height in inches, so I don't know what I'm talking about on the height. But she still goes on to me about Big Daddy and how she was a kid on BBC Sport. I guess it was Saturday Sport or Sunday Sport, and she would always see Big Daddy. And she was like 28, and I had to tell her that those were all works. And she said, yeah, but it was on the BBC. It must have been real. So.
It was on Sunday daytime. It was. Oh, it was fantastic. We used to watch it, waiting for Mum and Dad to finish the Sunday roast, and it was amazing times. Like even I bought that one.
Yeah, everyone got.
In that era, and even before Jim Ross, and I don't know if you know this name, but Gordon Soley, who I knew from Georgia Championship Wrestling, also did wrestling in Florida, Eddie Graham's promotion. They called it straight. Jim Ross called it straight. Gorilla Monsoon called it straight. They would have fun, but they were identifying moves. They were doing what we call play-by-play in the United States. We call commentary in England. They're not trying to overly sell. They're describing the moves and the holds exactly the way I call MMA. And just because one is a work and one is a shoot doesn't mean you can't give it respect. I'm not sure if in the UK if you're able to see New Japan Wrestling. But Jim Ross and the great Josh Barnett, one of my favorite fighters, favorite people in MMA, they're doing commentary now on New Japan Wrestling. And it's like watching a broadcast from the 1980s because they're calling it straight. And that's the way I think it should be. Give it that respect. You're not trying to sell somebody and push it over. There's kind of like a war for the soul when you to be a commentator. I think you don't have this as much in the United Kingdom. I think commentators have the ability to be much more straightforward. You don't have to push all the time. But what I've done Major League Soccer and what I experienced, especially my last 2 years under Spike at Bellator, you're always trying to put somebody over. And you just can't call it straight, And it's going to be refreshing to be able to be on a broadcast like that. I mean, I'm very fortunate. My other MMA people I'm commentating for won championship out of Singapore, and I have 2 series on UFC Fight Pass, Titan Fighting and Victory Fighting. Same way. We call it straight. If somebody is world class, you call them world class. But if they're not, you don't. If somebody is a top prospect, call them a top prospect. Don't pretend like they are. If there's one thing, you both know this, everybody listening knows this, I know this, that insults fight fans is when you try to trick them.
Yeah.
Try to make them believe that somebody is better than they are or has more heat on them than they should. They can figure it out themselves. They're very, very smart people. And I hate it as commentators when people try to act like the fans are dumb or you can trick them. They're going to figure that out. They're going to know if somebody is world-class or a top prospect. You don't have to try to lie to them, and I'm not going to lie to anybody.
And I have to say, Sean, we're going to wrap this up because I know you're a busy man. Well done, excellent commentary on the latest Titan card. I thoroughly enjoyed staying up at night and watching it and tweeting away to you guys, you and Faraz. Absolutely stellar work on that show, I have to say.
Yeah,
that means so much to me. No, thank you. Go ahead, please. That means so much to me. Thank you.
It was worth staying up for. And actually, the fight, I tell you what, Grant Dawson, he is a dude who should be in the UFC, I reckon. He is an
I can't
exciting
understand
dude.
how he's not already.
He's an exciting guy to watch.
Sean, what are you doing?
I would say, guys, I said on my podcast with John McCarthy, I've done 2 Grant Dawson fights already in 2016 in January for Victory on UFC Fight Pass, and then the fight you're referring to on Titan on UFC Fight Pass. This kid is 22 years old. He is who the UFC wants Sage Norris tried to be, but he's already there. He is that guy.
Yeah.
He's humble, and he's smart, and he's quick-witted, and he is phenomenally technical, and he's going to be absolutely world-class. If he's not top 5 in 2 years, I'll be shocked. If he's not world champion in 5 years, I will be absolutely shocked. He is going to be a phenomenal fighter, and I would have to think he's going to be in the UFC sooner rather than later.
I'm with you on that one.
I agree. I liked hearing him talk afterwards, and he seemed very likeable. The way he talked, it was almost like, he's just loving the ride.
I've interviewed him on a podcast, love the guy to bits. He wants to come back on. I'm probably going to get him back on soon as well, just for a chin wag, really, because I think he's a great prospect. Sean, we're going to let you shoot off, like we said, you're a busy man. Before you go, though, watch this kind of social networking so people can jump on, man.
Very, very much appreciate that. So I'll plug the podcast. We're up to 2 shows a week now. Big John McCarthy and myself. Fresh episodes every Friday and every Monday. Frank Shamrock will be on our Monday show. Frank is unbelievably candid. And so you can subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher. If you haven't had Frank on your show, get Frank, and I'll even hook you up. We can talk off air, and I'll get you his number. Frank is such a good guest, and he really doesn't care. He just says what he wants to say, and he has so much fun saying it. It was just an amazing guest. I texted McCarthy after the show. No disrespect to anybody else we've had on. I think Frank was our best guest ever. He's really good. So that'll be Monday. So Friday and Monday, fresh shows. John McCarthy, myself, it's called Let's Get It On. You can go to our website. All the episodes, full archives, always free. Let's Get It On podcast.com, or subscribe on Stitcher or iTunes. And I'm on Twitter at Sean Wheelock, SeanWheelock. And my book with Art Davie, which is called Is This Legal? The Inside Story of the First UFC from the man who created it. You can get it on UFCstore.com, UFC's official online retail site. You can also get it on Amazon around the world, including on Amazon's UK site. And soon, knock on wood, touch wood, to be a major motion picture. I just read the first draft from the screenwriters for this self-adaptation of the book with Art Davie and myself. And if I may plug one more thing, speaking of Art Davie, Big John McCarthy and I have tried to launch still pushing it forward, an online social media campaign to get Art Davie, who I think you certainly know, most of the listeners know, is the UFC founder and creator. We want to see Art elected into the UFC Hall of Fame in 2016. So anytime on social media, if you use the hashtag Art, UFCHOF, Art UFCHOF, HOF for Hall of Fame, it's really picking up. We've had Gary Goodrich send it out. We've had Frank Shamrock send it out. McCarthy and I send it out all the time. So if anybody listening, if they just want to tag a tweet with that or send it to Dana White or to the powers that be at the UFC, and it's ludicrous that the man who thought up the idea of the UFC is not in the UFC Hall of Fame, and we're trying to change that.
It's almost like
Do you know what?
why is he not?
To be honest, it makes you think to yourself, why haven't I thought of that myself? It's too easy to think of the fighters and not to think of the guys that have come up with the brainchild.
Absolutely insane that. But I'll tell you what, right now, I'm going to be definitely grabbing hold of that Frank Shamrock interview. Cannot wait for that. Sean, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great weekend, man. Enjoying this extravaganza, let's say. And if you, by the way, if you want to watch it, ladies and gentlemen, it's on like we said before, urshow.tv. Go to the link online. It's a pay-per-view. Pay. It's nothing. $12, pennies, or £7 or £8 in UK. Watch it. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much. You guys are great. I'm always happy to be on. I'll be on any time. And let me know what you think of the show. We'll definitely have to connect. And make sure that McCarthy gets on your show. Let me know how that goes.